Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Junkyard Rock Stories. How are you doing, guys? Today we're going to do something different, something, funny, and probably something stupid. We'll see. YouTubers like to do these channel updates kind of videos, and I thought about it to do it one myself because I started doing YouTube channel again after 3 years. The last time I did this was in 2022. It was a short run, and I just, started hard and fast and did a lot of these reaction videos, some discussions, but I never ever had a chance to explain why I did it and what's the deal, what's the point of all of this. So I wanted to do this, I wanted to make a channel update, but I didn't want to make it like the others do. I didn't want to make this, these stupid videos when they say I'm quitting YouTube and they put themselves on the thumbnail, and now, wow, shockingly, everybody want to click on that because why is this guy or girl, why is quitting the YouTube? I mean, what's happening? And then you watch the video and nothing happens, nothing happens. That's, the highest level, the pure level, the top level of clickbait shit that you can find on YouTube in this day and age. I hate that. So I come up with some other concept, I'm going to do a Q&A interview. I know people do Q&A interviews, but instead of harassing people and asking them, hey, ask me some questions because I need questions for my video, I simply went to Chat GPT, asked him to make me a Q&A based on what I do, based on Junkyard Rock Stories, and he did. In the first, the questions were very stupid and generic, and they still are, but I used some tweaking and I tweaked it, and now we have a proper interview, Q&A, that I'm going to answer. I'm going to try to answer you these questions honestly and seriously, but if they're too stupid and too generic, I'm just gonna pass them. So let's just dive in, guys. Let's start. This is going to be interesting. And yeah, you're allowed to tell me in the comments if this is a stupid idea. In the end, of course. But before that, like and subscribe so we can continue on. Okay, question number 1. Let's start with the basics. How did Junkyard Rock Stories came to life? Well, how and when you need to know this. Junkyard Rock Stories started in 2014. It was not in English, there was no YouTube channel, it was only a website, 2014, and it was written in non-English language, I'll only say. It was in my native language, and I started this because I was really pissed off of what other websites did at that time, because they wouldn't, cover stories from the hard rock music, modern rock, and of course not sleaze, glam and hair metal, what was happening at the scene at the time. But not only that, they didn't want to cover things like, if you go back in 2014, Slash had a new album, World on Fire, Rival Sons had a great new album, Great Western Valkyrie, and 6am were present at that time. They had this album Modern Vintage, I think it was 2014, and there were some good albums from the years prior, like Stone Sour, the double album, like Dragon had a new one. I don't know, a lot of bands, a lot of interesting bands, the bands that I followed and that I liked. There was this California Breed type of band with Glenn Hughes, Jason Bonham, and guitarist producer Andrew Watt. That band was also like a hot band that time, and they didn't want to cover that. They only covered like punk, metal, extreme metal, and old bands like Alice in Chains and stuff. And I was pissed, and I said, okay, if you don't want to cover any of this, I'll cover it. And that's how I started, and I started writing only reviews, because 11 years ago reviews are still okay. I mean, today they are. The worst thing you can do on website is to write a album review today, because but listen to me, nobody's gonna click on that and read it. Not even the bands anymore. So 2014, and that's how Junkyard started. And of course, I like to write, and I have the education that goes with this, so there you have it. What's the main goal of Junkyard Rock Stories? What do you want readers to get out of it? My main goal always was to present new and exciting music. I was always on the look for the new bands and always on the look for the new music, or I was on the run to talk about newer stuff, not old stuff, newer stuff. Yes, you can go on Junkyard Rock Stories and you can see a lot of old stuff like Guns N' Roses, but that's popular. But you can see things like this. The interview that my friend Richie Kearns did, Richie Kearns Productions, go and check out his channel, go give him a subscribe and follow. It's a great channel. He does interviews, he does great movies about the bands that are not covered, stuff like that. Go check it out. So he did this interview with Vanessa Warwick from Handbagger's Ball, and the most interesting thing that I liked in this interview was when she said, I was always really keen to give new bands a chance because I felt that the show had a duty to support the up-and-coming bands as well as the established ones. Exactly, Vanessa said it. This is exactly what I do on Junkyard Rock Stories. Even though sometimes you see, of course, you see legacy bands, but see, we have Crazy Leaks, Suicide Bombers. I just go on Junkyard Rock Stories and scroll through a bit and you'll see a lot of new music, a lot of stuff that you maybe don't know, but you should if you like this kind of music. So, next question. Your recent articles delves into the potential lineup of new Guns N' Roses album. What inspired this speculation? What do you hope fans take away from it? Yeah, I speculated about the potential of the new album, new Guns N' Roses album, like 2 times, like new Guns N' Roses album in 2025, and here's what the new Guns N' Roses album could look like, where I collected some, some known songs that had leaked over the years, like here. So I said, this is what we can get. But wait, what was the question again? I forgot. What inspired this? Yeah, that inspired this. And what do you hope fans can get away from it? I don't know. Guns N' Roses were my favorite band when I started, when I first came into rock and roll. Yeah, I didn't start with them. I started with some other bands that were popular at that time, like Marilyn Manson, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Nirvana, but Guns were also there. This was in the 90s, late 90s. And when first time I heard You Could Be Mine was my first song from one burnt CD, but not even an MP3 CD, it was a CDR CD. You guys, if you're older like me, you know what CDR CDs were, like 700 megabytes of storage, burnt songs, like that. It was enough for one album. So it was a burnt CD with a lot of songs from different bands. Guns N' Roses was, You Could Be Mine was one of the songs, and I fell in love. Then I start digging, finding new music, finding about the band, and that's how I begin to like them. And when I bought my first CD of Guns N' Roses, it was in Chinese Democracy era, but long before, in the beginning of 2000s. And yeah, today, if you ask me, I'm not gonna say they're my favorite band because the way things progressed in the next 20-25 years. But again, they were at that point of my life, so I go back to them from time to time. So that was my inspiration. And people like to read this stuff, so that's why I do it. Let's face it. I want views. It's normal. It's normal. I get more views when I write about Guns N' Roses than when I write about some new band. That's the sad fact, and that's the sad reality of this job and of the music industry. Next question. In your piece, why is Slash playing in front of a church again? You explore Slash's recent activities. Can you shed light on the significance of this event and its impact on the rock community? Yeah, you see, this is a bit of a generic question because the question is this. The topic is good, but the question is generic. Can you shed a light on the significance of this event and its impact in the rock community? I mean, I can, but it was, Dorothy released a song and a video, and I did a reaction for this song, but not for the video, only for the song. The video came after the audio, and the song is called Tombstone Town. It is a great song, and in the video you can see Dorothy and Slash, because Slash was featuring in this song, because Dorothy was featured on the Slash's blues album, and the two artists had these contributions in the past. Slash played a couple of times with Dorothy. Last time it was on March 1st, I think. And there's a scene here in the video where he is playing in front of a church, and I just, said, hey man, this reminds me of November Rain. He was playing in front of the church there, we all know that. So I just did an article. This is what I do. I'm a journalist. I can do an article from anything I see. I mean, I only need a spark of inspiration, and I had the inspiration that day by watching this video from Dorothy, Tombstone Town, and by the day this Q&A interview is out, Dorothy basically released this album. The album is called The Way. It's her fourth full studio album, and you can go out and listen to it. It's a cool album. I mean, it's not better than the previous ones. The Gifts from the Holy Ghost, that was the top level album. I still to this day think this is her best album, but this one is not that bad, so go check it out. Okay, next one. You cover both legendary and underground bands. How do you decide which artist to feature? I think I already explained that. I prefer underground and new artists, but I need to do legendary and legacy just to get some views, because that's how things work today. And that's lame, and I know that, but what can I do? It is what it is. You all do this, guys. If you're a YouTube content creators or journalist, you know what I'm talking about. Next one. What's the best and the worst thing about running a rock music website? It's the same thing, because when I write about underground or new band, unknown band, I need to use some time. The time is needed for this article to be good. And if I get only 5 views, 5 clicks on this article, then I'm gonna be pissed. But sometimes, you know, I can take only 5 minutes to write an article about the legacy band and I can get like 500 views. And that's the worst thing about running a rock music website today. It's all the same. I'm just telling you the same story all over again. That it is what it is. It's like that. You know? Okay, what's one article or story you've written that you're most proud of? Okay, I'm most proud of articles and stories that goes under lists and story. Because lists, yeah, they're good. They're cool, man. I think I did some cool lists, like Six Swedish metal bands you don't know, but that they're not active anymore, or something like that, you know. These fun polls were cool, and there's a lot of these things, you know. Crazy Leaks list, the ultimate 80s hits, but they're not from the 80s. Oh, this one is, I'm really proud of this one. Mission Impossible, are these the heaviest Red Hot Chili Peppers songs? This is the article that I really dug into. I really like, you know, gave my best here. I even wrote like some, I imagined them talking in the studio while recording these songs, like John Frusciante talking to Anthony Kiedis and Flea and Chad and everybody, you know, talking, and I just came up with this fake, you know, interviews, fake happenings. I mean, it's pretty cool. Just check it out. Or this one, glam metal traces in Alice in Chains' songs. You know that Alice in Chains started as a glam metal band. We all know that. But I researched, I inspected all the songs that have this glam hair metal, you know, kind of vibe in the songs. So I'm proud of this one. And a lot of other ones, like Faster Pussycat Fan Poll was great. 7 American hard rock bands that you need to know right now. But right now, then supergroups, a lot of these. And stories also. I mean, when I see something interesting, I make a story out of it immediately, you know. So these were the ones that I'm most proud of. But there are a lot of ones, and they're all under the list or story. I did some reviews also on under concerts. I did a review of the Helicopters live in Bergen, Norway, and I'm proud of that too. And the band liked it, so it was a success. You've highlighted the resurgence of bands like Foxy Rocks and Jizzy Pearl's Love Hate. What do you think is driving these comebacks, and how are they being received by today's audience? Okay, you see some questions here related to my latest work on Junkyard Rock Stories. This is because I asked Chat Gpt, I told you I tweaked it, to ask me questions that are related to what I was doing on the website. Easy as that. Like Foxy Rocks is a bubbleglam punk, you know, glam punk band from the 90s, and Jizzy Pearl's Love Hate, you all know Love Hate. So what do you think is driving these comebacks? I don't know. And I like these comebacks, to be honest, because I think those people, these bands, they see those opportunities, you know. I mean, Jizzy Pearl, I don't know why he asked me about him, because Jizzy was present a lot last, I can say 5 to 10 years. But bands like Foxy Rocks, I mean, yeah, they returned to the scene, and I like this. I like this that they did, because these bands, you know, they were underground in the 90s, and they didn't have a chance to, you know, to shine, and they didn't have a chance for a wider audience to see them and hear them. But today they have, because of the internet. And it's a good thing that they do this today. Okay, these guys, Foxy Rocks, they played like several shows in Whiskey Go and LA. I mean, they're, reunion shows, and I like to see that. And they released two classic albums are released by FNA Records. That was a success for them. And we have glam-punk, the band that is also kind of back, and a lot of these bands. And I wrote actually a story here about that subgenre of music called the 90s Bubbleglam, Hollywood's most obscure underground scene. That was the scene I was talking about. That was, glam punk, bubbleglam type of bands like Bang Bang Babies, Glamour Punks, Queenie Blast Bop, and of course Peppermint Crips and Foxy Rocks and everything. So this is another article that I am proud of, so go check out this one. It's really cool. Terror Toys, man, what a good band, like something like a death rock. So yeah, they had this, a lot of makeup, and they were punk, mostly punk, more punk than rock. So things like that are really cool for me, and that's why I like doing this stuff, what I'm doing. This is what I like to do as the journalist and the editor of Junkyard Rock Stories. Question number 9. The 10 Things I Think About series offers personal insights into new albums. How do you approach crafting these articles, and what do you aim to convey to your readers? Okay, 10 Things I Think About is this here. 10 Things I Think About the Crazy Leaks album, 10 things about the new Marilyn Manson album. I already did 2. This is, ladies and gentlemen, probably my last try to write album reviews, because 10 Things I Think About the new album of a band is really a disguised album review, because people don't want to read album reviews. I told you that. Fans do not care about album reviews, because why would they care? Because, they can just, wait for the album to come on Spotify, listen to it, and they don't need me or anybody else to tell them that this song sounds like a thundering storm going through, because the guitar is so eponymous and riffs are so and so. You know what I mean? So this is my try to tell you, hey, I think that this album has perfect number of songs, that this is a step up from the last one, no fillers, great production, and this or that. And that's my way to do it. And it is what it is. This is how I started Junkyard, and I would still love to, write album reviews. I still like to read them because I'm weird. Okay, your Lost and Found segment revisits notable interviews such as Nikki, Sixx. Okay, first of all, there is no Lost and Found segment. It's only one article, Lost and Found, and we'll see what it is. Such as Nikki Sixx's 2003 Hustler magazine feature. Yeah, what drives you to these past moments, and how do they resonate with today's rock enthusiasts? So he's asking about this article, Lost and Found, revisiting Nikki Sixx's Raw 2003 Hustler magazine. First of all, I like 2000s, and I like the beginning of 2000, the whole decade, because it was my decade. My decade was not 80s, even though I'm into 80s music. But I found this article on a local website for, buy and sell used stuff. And I was going through, CDs, records, and magazines, old magazines, because I was interested to buy some old magazines. And I stumbled upon this Hustler magazine with Nikki and his then wife Donna D'Erico on the cover. I said, wow. But the guy, or I don't know who, was selling this article for a lot of money, this magazine for a lot of money. And I said, okay, I'm probably not gonna buy it. But I was interested to see what was Nikki Sixx talking about in that interview, because first of all, it's an interview in a not so music oriented magazine here, and it is like from the era that I really like, from the pre-Brides of Destruction era. Motley Crue was on hiatus and all that, and I was interested to know what the hell he was talking about. And I did an interview review or summary, an analysis, and it was cool. He talked a lot about Brides of Destruction. That was what I was interested in most. And the funny thing is that in the end, Nancy B. Style, who was hired by Hustler magazine to start doing these interviews with musicians back then, actually found this article on my Facebook page and said, hey, I was the one who did this, and it's nice to see somebody talking about this after all these years. That was so cool. Then you also run monthly music charts on your website. How do they work and what makes them different from mainstream charts? False, and this is pure AI. He didn't understand. I do not run monthly music charts. I have a Spotify playlist where you can find all the new songs, and the list is down in the description, so go and find that. What's the biggest challenge in keeping Junkyard Rock Stories running? Time, inspiration, and in the end, I guess, how much feedback I get. That's the most important thing, I think. Given the vast amount of music released daily, as noted in your 99 songs uploaded daily, the Hidden Crisis in Streaming article, how do you curate content to feature on your platform? Yes, and it's actually a video. You can find this video on the channel. So 99,000 songs are released per day on streaming services. And how do I, what's the question? How do I curate content? Very hard. But I'm not going to talk about that again. Go check that video. Next one. Your platform is active across various social media channels, including YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. How do you tailor content for each platform, and what strategies have you found most effective in engaging with your audience? Yeah, that's also time consuming, and sometimes you don't get anything out of it, but sometimes you do. So this is a necessity. You need to do that, and that's it. Next question. Collaborations such as the interview with Crazy Lix's frontman Danny Rexon bring exclusive content to your readers. How do you establish and maintain relationships with artists for such features? Easy. A representative of Frontiers Records is sending me these, EPQs every day, basically. And one day I got an email where the representative asked me, hey, do you want to do an interview with Danny Rexon? And I was like, what? Of course I do. And I did. So you can find the interview on the website, of course. It's a written one, but then he actually recorded for me. Of course, it was easier for him than to, write everything, type on keyboard. And I'm very proud of this interview. And I still have one segment left from this interview that is not published yet. And I'm probably going to do it soon, maybe here on YouTube or maybe on the Junkyard. But go check it out. It's not only about music, it's about a little bit about his private life and the history of Crazy Lix. So I'm very proud. It's a kind of interview that combines, music questions about the new album plus the old school kerrang metal sludge type of questions. So go check it out. Next one here for me. If you could time travel to any concert in history, where are you going and why? Stupid and generic. I don't know, probably some concert in the 80s just to see what the hell was all about, in the 80s on Sunset Strip. What's one rock music hill you're willing to die on? I guess that's about, something that you think and you want to defend. You're thinking that's not agreed upon a vast audience or whatever. I think that's what he's asking me. I don't know. I would say LA Guns' 2002 album Wake in the Dead is, okay, not the best LA Guns album that they released, but it's in the top 3, maybe. It's a very good album. I can defend that and die on a hill. Next one. If you had to form a supergroup with only members from bands you've covered, who is in it? Boring, generic. I don't want to answer that. What's the craziest rock and roll story you ever covered on Junkyard Rock Stories? Craziest story? I don't know. Something about a fan asking Faster Pussycat Guys and Whitesnake. And next one. What's the most underrated rock album of all time? It's a generic to the max. One underrated rock album. Man, I can name you 100. Maybe I should make a list of 100. I don't know. If aliens landed on Earth and you had to explain rock music with one album, which one are you playing to them? Again, the same stupid question. What a band or artist you didn't get at first but later became a fan of? Okay, I can answer this. Like when I was discovering music, I got into hard rock mostly. And then hair and glam metal, sleaze. But I also kind of, like grunge. I like Alice in Chains. I like Nirvana before that, before everything, because, Nirvana in the 90s. You could just, turn yourself around and you could see Nirvana and everywhere. But never mind. Never mind, of course. But I kind of like these bands and people on the streets because, when you're young and you go out, first of all, if you're a rocker, you're you were, considered as an outcast back then when I was young in 2000s. I don't know how it is today. And second of all, if inside the rock circles you present yourself as the fan of one music, the fans of other music are going to say shit about your music. So people who like Pantera and grunge and stuff like that, Slayer, were like, yeah, you like hair metal, the usual stuff about hair metal. So I didn't like these bands, but honestly I liked these bands because I like all kinds of music. So we can say grunge, Alice in Chains. Then I started listening to it, and to this day I love both. I love both hair glam, sleaze, and grunge, and that's unique. But it is what it is. What's the funniest or weirdest interaction you've had with a musician because of your work? Not many. What's the best album to blast while driving with the windows open? A lot of them. You're throwing Dream Rock Festival. Who's headlining? Certainly not Sleep Token. If you could interview any rock musicians alive or dead, who would it be, and what's the first question you'd ask? Damn, stupid. Which rock subgenre do you think deserves more love? 2000s sleaze, man. 2000s, Swedish sleaze glam hair metal revival. Scandinavian. Call it what you want. Which rock documentary or movie should every fan watch at least once? I don't know. Go to YouTube and watch everything you can, even if you have time. If a record label gave you full control to bring back one classic band for a new album, who are you reviving? Am I reviving, guys? The Doors, Led Zeppelin, The Beatles. I don't know. Who else? Van Halen, Cinderella. No, none of them. None of them. I'm not reviving any legacy band. I'm taking the money and putting all the money into the new bands and the bands for the 2000s and making them big and making them do what they deserve. That's what I would do with the money from a record label. What's the best opening track of any rock album? An intro. A 1 minute intro instrumental is the best opening track of any album. I mean, come on. What's the best live performance you've ever seen in person or in video? Okay, I can answer this one. This is not that stupid. In person, I haven't seen too many concerts like some people. But what I have seen is probably, I like the Whitesnake in 2006 when they were in the full form, it was an outdoor concert, very good, starting with Burn and playing all these songs. It was with Uriah Duffy on the bass, not Marco Mendoza, but with Doug Aldrich and Red Beach and of course Coverdale, who sang much better than today, of course, because it was like 20 years ago. And there was another concert Adam Bomb played in 2010. I saw Adam Bomb playing in front of... I actually opened for him with my band back then in 2010 in one city in my country. And the next day it was in another city in my hometown. Then I went there in the audience, of course. Then I watched both the shows, and he, played a pure Hollywood-style show in the capacity of a club with fires, with everything, with Paul Del Bello on the bass, and it was so good. I mean, breathing fire in a club in front of 20 to 50 people was amazing to me. So that was, Adam Bomb. Check out Adam Bomb. He's still active. Reflecting on your journey with Junkyard Rock Stories, what have been some of the most rewarding moments, and what future aspirations do you have for the platform? We'll see. These things evolve and changes a lot, so we'll see. Today I'm doing this YouTube. The next day maybe stop doing YouTube. We'll see. You never know about this. And what's next for Junkyard Rock Stories? Any big plans? I don't have any big plans. The only big plans for me is to create more if I feel like I'm going to create more. Maybe let's say I could do some, live streams with other people, some chats, conversations like that. I had some, offers, but the timing is a problem for me to do that. So maybe that. So we'll see. That was all, guys. That was all for this interview, Q&A, or channel update. Call it what you want. I hope you learned some new things about Junkyard Rock Stories. I hope you liked it. If you did, like, subscribe, and comment. Ask me some other questions that was not, generic and AI generated, but in the end, it was fun. So that was it, guys. Till next time, ciao, ciao.